chart has appeared 3 days in a row. Today, it's all filled in for us. And today, we're going to combine all of these things with absolute values. Easy lesson. This is like your week off, like your fall break for your brain. Last night, our problems look like this. We subtracted numbers. And some of us tried to do it without showing steps, but what I really wanted you to show is rewriting the first, changing subtraction to addition, and then adding the opposite. And then you would have told me that was a negative 14. Our problems that we added the same sign.
Excuse me, interruption. Doble, Dave, please report to the main office.
Adding like signs, you just add and keep the sign. But then 2 days ago, not yesterday, but the day before, when we added numbers with different signs, so a 3 plus a negative 6, we didn't really add. We subtracted and then took the sign with the larger number. So what would my sign of the answer be? Would it be positive 3 or negative 3? Negative, because 6 is bigger. In a nutshell, that's what we've done the last 3 days. This guy was the last one. I really would like for you to get in the habit of changing the subtraction to addition and adding the opposite. However, you can see, does anybody recognize that that subtraction is the sign in front of the 9? Yes. Behind you. And so this is 6, 7, so 46. Okay? Well, no, 39. We have 11 minutes. If you recognize that that subtraction was the sign in front of the 9, you would recognize you have like signs and you could add and keep the sign. But I'd rather you not. So, in grouping symbols, you learned through PEMDAS that you would have to work with your parentheses first, or the innermost parentheses first, okay? And with this, the absolute value symbols, those symbols are grouping symbols. So you're going to treat them like parentheses. You have to evaluate what's in them first, find the absolute value, and then do what other arithmetic is needed. But you have to simplify absolute values first. We're going to simplify them with our sign number rules. All right. So for instance, last night, this problem was what we had without the absolute values. Last night, I was hoping you would rewrite the first and add the opposite so that you could see we have unlike signs, which tells us to subtract and take the sign of the larger number. Would you agree that a negative 11 plus 5 is a negative 6? You with me on that? Okay, Madison, thank you. Madison's the only one that nodded. But absolute value is 6. Does anybody remember what that guy is? Serenity. Yeah, absolute value is a distance. So absolute value is always going to be positive. This is a review. But think about it. If I travel forward, I'm getting positive steps. If I travel backwards, I'm still traveling a distance. Absolute value, no matter what direction on your number line, it's positive. All right, so this guy's an easy one. 8 minus 7 is 1. What's the absolute value of 1, kiddos? 1. If it's in there negative, it comes out positive. If it's in there positive, it's going to come out positive. All right, so this guy last night, 7 minus 8, we learned to write 7 and add the opposite. What's left in my absolute values? What is 7 plus a negative 8? A negative 1. But you're, unlike last night, you have one more step. What's the absolute value of negative 1, friends? 1. You are never going to get a negative. And absolute values are grouping symbols, so you have to simplify them first. You wouldn't do the absolute value of 7 minus the absolute value of 8. Okay, really, we're almost done. I didn't lie to you. How about D? Last night, this looked like, well, you said, I want to add the opposite of that guy. Or you could remember back-to-back negatives makes a plus. What is a negative 10 plus 4? And it's not good, buddy. Ah. Sorry. Did you get that? Negative 6. Who's saying that? Okay. Come on, that was a good one. 10, 4. It was, and I snorted. What are you going to tell me my final answer is, guys? 6. Thank you. All right, last one together, and then I'm sending you off to the woods. Jacob, you had to laugh at my 10, 4 good buddy one, right? I know you did. No, but alrighty, I'm adding the opposite or remembering back-to-back negatives is a plus. Do you all agree that guy's a 6? Yes. What's my final answer then? 6. Alright, with someone near you, if you are alone, you may move. We're going to do example 2 with our groups. And we are going to omit or leave out the fraction ones. We're going to have a whole fraction lesson. Instead of piecing it, we're going to do it separately. Let's do G and H. We're going to leave out G and H. You do all of example 2. You may move quickly. We're going to spend like 2 minutes on this. Alrighty. So, Mr. D, just like the last class when we switched back, they were like, what do we do? Remember our sign number rules. When you have a plus, you either add and keep the sign or subtract and take the sign of the larger number. I'm going to add and keep the sign. The second one, when it's subtracting, you add the opposite, and then it's an adding, keeping the sign, or adding and taking the sign of the larger number. Anybody have an answer for B? Nathan? Yes. But it's funny, when we switch gears, a lot of us were like, Desiree, you got C, right? What'd you get? Okay. Yes, because unlike signs being added, you subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. After we got rolling, several of you were like, oh, that's right, I remember doing this. This is our work today. This is a basic subtracting. You really don't even have to add the opposite. Did anybody get 24? That is not us, is it, Mr. D?
No, that's for the...
You leave it 46, yes. Okay. Did anybody get 54 minus 30 to be 24, and then we take that absolute value? Are we good? Good. This guy is like last night's. When it's subtracting, I want to see you add the opposite. Anybody have an answer for that? Unlike signs, subtract, keep the sign of the big number. Serenity? Yep, because 17 minus 5 is 12. You take the sign of the bigger number. 17 is bigger than 5. Did anybody get hung up on F? Was there anything to add or subtract in the absolute value signs? No. So you just evaluate the absolute value. You have to do that first. What do I get when I take the absolute value of a negative 2.2? Colton, what do I get when I take the absolute value of a negative 2.2? Absolute value is always positive. Yes, Serenity, do you agree? And then Ashton, what's the absolute value of 6.8? Always positive. So even if it's positive, you have no work. He comes right out. And then you remember, I know it's a pain to not be using our calculators. Line up your decimals and carry 9.0 or 9. Okay? We good? I feel like we're version 9.0. So your homework tonight on the sheet Mr. D is going to give you is only the odds. However, if you choose to do the evens, and this is a really easy one to do the evens, you will get a bonus. All right? Get those bonus points collected.